Good morning, all, and welcome to the Momentum Summit 4. My name is Jonathan Watts-Hall. I am delighted to finally be here with you all for the start of this event. It is very exciting for me to be at the start of this 2-week-long celebration of the work that we have done in this state. I'm pleased to have all of you here. We have a very large audience today, and we have a very large audience for the summit. That's a great endorsement of the work that is so important for the state. I'm extremely pleased at this point to be able to introduce to you the Chancellor for the University System of Georgia, Dr. Steve Wrigley, who will be providing us with some introductory remarks. Dr. Wrigley, we want to thank you for joining us today, and I'm going to hand the program over to you.
Great. Good morning, everybody. Jonathan, thank you, and thank you for putting this together, organizing it and doing all the work, and appreciate everybody joining. It's a large group. Tristan tells me there's 900 registered, so that's exciting, and really appreciate everybody's participation. So thanks to Tristan for his great leadership around the momentum approach. I've got a few things I'd like to say just by way of congratulations in many ways, because we've made a lot of progress the last 4 years. We began that down this road on the momentum approach about 4 years ago, and even in the last year, dealing with a pandemic, we've made a lot of progress, and I'm really pleased, and I'm really especially appreciative of all of you to keeping the forward progress going, even amidst a lot of other challenges. You've heard me say it many times. The fundamental purpose of the university system is to graduate more folks with a degree. Each of the system's 26 institutions play a critical role in raising education achievement levels in our state. And when we started this, it was with the idea of transforming that first year of college for students on every campus in the system, and then building on that, learning from that, so that students throughout their college career have the benefit of what we learn and apply from the momentum approach. When we got into this, there was no national model about how to do this. We had done some work. We had some institutions that had done some great work. There was work elsewhere, but we knew we needed to have an evidence-based approach focused on data that ultimately would have a positive impact on student success. Then we had to figure that out and figure out how to implement it on a very large scale across 26 very different campuses. Required innovation, collaboration, to figure out what worked best and what we could scale and what we could then have each institution adapt. The first thing we tried to do was learn what it is, what are the reasons why students didn't make it through the first year. Through some data work, we've learned several really critical things. Students who pass English and math in the first year are 10 times more likely to finish a degree, which is, to me, when Tristan told me that, I'm still kind of startled by that. It's almost self-evident, but students who pass English and math that first year are 10 times more likely to finish a degree. Students who take 15 plus credit hours that first semester are 4 times more likely to graduate than those who take 6 credit hours or less. A number of other things we learned. Another one, a national data point, 50% of undecided students drop out before they select a major. Which is, again, a startling statistic, and all of these data points helped us to rethink what it is we're doing, particularly in that first year. So we crafted some specific approaches, obviously emphasizing that core English and math courses should be taken in the first year. For those who need it, the co-requisite remediation approach is offered, so students are directly enrolled in the regular 4 credit classes in English and math, and receive focused tutoring. That helps us address the pass English and math that first year. We encourage 30 credit hours over the entire academic year, and institutions have prioritized scheduling to allow that to happen for students. Make sure critical classes are available. We've shifted to emphasizing students taking a minimum of 3 classes in a selected major or academic focus area. Students tell us their number one, that having a purpose is the number one impact on their pursuit of a degree and finishing a degree. Understanding why they're taking a class and how it applies to their ultimate outcome is what students have told us, purpose, giving them that sense of purpose. Students, first-year students can no longer be undecided. We want them to come to the freshman experience and be intentional about why they're there and what they may choose to study. Doesn't mean they can't change their mind, but they need to be focused right away on what it is they want to study. You're all aware of the early alert and predictive analytics systems that are in place. Georgia State was a pioneer in this. We congratulate them. And we've been able to feed off of that to help share that, what they've learned and how they've implemented it system-wide. And as a result, the average time to degree comes down, and students actually wind up saving money because they're more successful along the way. They spend less time on campus and are more likely to finish their degree. So we needed to do more to connect students to their purpose in pursuing a degree and to make these connections early enough in their academic career to make a difference so that they stayed with us and that they didn't slip away from us. As I said, it doesn't mean that students can't change their minds, but we do want them to think about their purpose just as soon as they arrive on our campus and keep a focus around why they're with us throughout the entire time that they're with us, and ultimately focus on that purpose toward completing a degree. We're the first system in the nation to implement anything like this, particularly on this scale. And I know I've got colleagues around the country who are looking at what we're doing. Talked to a friend just a couple of weeks ago who've been looking at what we're doing in Kansas, and they're going to try to do something similar in that state. So that the work is paying off and people are paying attention, and I thank you for that and I congratulate you for that. Some data points: last fall, 41% of first-time students attempted 15 or more credits in their first semester. That's an increase of 8 percentage points over the past 8 years, which is pretty significant when you consider just how large we are and how large our incoming number of first-time students is. Students who come to us needing learning support are now nearly twice as likely to pass their core English course in their first year and more than twice as likely to pass their core math course. Again, speaking to that data point we saw right away about the importance of finishing or passing English and math the first year. We've seen significant improvements in those pass rates in the first year. Graduation rates have increased by more than 9% for all students, which is again significant when you consider just how large we are and how large of a system we are and how many students we enroll. For African American students, graduation rates have increased more than 25%, which is an area we needed to focus on, and we're really pleased with the progress that we're seeing there. These increases have been experienced across all sectors in the system. This is the fourth Momentum Summit we've held, and it's the largest ever. As I said, I think we've got 900 or so folks who are registered, and I hope that you'll be able to participate just as much as you possibly can over the next couple of weeks. It is an opportunity for you to learn from one another, to share from one another, to teach one another. I think every session is led by someone from within the USG, and at the end, we'll all learn more and be able to apply the lessons that we have to helping our students and helping them achieve what they come to us ultimately to achieve, which is to get a degree. We all believe in the intrinsic worth of an education. I certainly do, but we've got to keep in front of us that there is an important link between education achievement, education attainment levels, and economic prosperity, and we do need to be about both. You've heard me say before that coming out of the Great Recession, 70% of the jobs went to folks with a bachelor's degree. And while the pandemic is still unfolding, bachelor's degree holders have almost completely recovered from the job losses they had nearly a year ago. So getting a degree rewards the individual, it rewards our state, it is ultimately what helps drive our economic prosperity and helps us create the kinds of citizens who can participate in today's complex world. We don't ask you to undertake this effort lightly. We know it's a challenge, we know it's a different approach, but we're now well into it. We see the results. The data is showing that the momentum approach is working and it's making a difference in the lives of students, which in the end is what we're about. And I know you feel that way and you believe in it. I just appreciate you being willing to be a part of the overall effort, working hard in the end. Implementing the momentum approach takes place on your campuses at your level, and that's why it works in the end. because of your commitment to it. So I appreciate that. I congratulate you for the progress. Again, I thank Tristan and Jonathan and the system team for the work that they've done to put this together and keep us moving forward. And with that, I'll let the conversation continue. And again, thank you for being here and congratulations.
Well, Chancellor, really thank you for your leadership and your support as we have undertaken this momentum journey. It's as you say, it's been a 4-year journey so far, and this Momentum Summit 4 is by far the largest event that we've had around momentum. So today there are 900 people who are registered for the events over the coming couple of weeks, and I really want to thank all of the campus leadership and all of the folk across all of our institutions for really all of the support that they've given to this work over the last years. And just as the Chancellor has just shared, we are already seeing the benefits of that work, and I know our students certainly are feeling the benefits of the work that we've done. I do want to talk just really briefly about specifically what it is that Momentum is all about, because as I say, we have 900 registrants for the Momentum Summit this time, and I'm told about 600 of those 900 have never been to a Momentum Summit before. So I certainly don't want to take anything for granted about the fact of what it is that folk know and understand about this work. And in many ways, this last year of COVID has made us realize how important these fundamentals are. So I do want to sort of to talk about what it is that brought us here in the first place, to realize that, just as the Chancellor just shared, the whole idea around the Momentum Year was really to specifically understand what are the evidence-based practices, what are the root causes of students being unsuccessful in college, what do those strategies, what do those phenomena look like across all of our campuses, based on real data, based on research, based on exactly the findings of our students in our institutions. And then once we understand that, to plot out specific phenomena, specific strategies, specific initiatives, specific things that we all could do across all of our institutions together, but in ways that made sense within the context and the culture of each institution, specific things to do to address those large-scale phenomena. That we began, just as the Chancellor just said, that we began with purpose. We saw specifically that students who came to our institutions who were undecided, most of them just dropped out before they ever got around to choosing specifically what they wanted to study in college. And often the fact of their indecision was based around choice paralysis, was based around the fact that across our institutions we have literally thousands of different majors, thousands of different programs on each particular campus. And that's wonderful, right? It really does provide an enormous variety of different things that people are then able to study and pursue. It's just when we know that as humans, when we're faced with so many different choices, the temptation is to say, well, you know what, I'll just choose later, because I don't really know exactly right now, and perhaps not in a way where I can really be definitive across those thousands of different things. And so instead, people chose, well, I'll just choose later. And what they didn't realize, and they couldn't realize perhaps, was that by deciding to choose later, they actually endangered their own ability to be able to complete their degree at all. What we found was that instead, if across our campuses we organized our different majors within academic focus areas, a small number of affinity groups of discipline, maybe that it was arranged by different subject areas, as I'm showing you right now, or maybe it was arranged thematically. No matter what, having that small number of manageable choices, academic focus areas to accompany our academic majors and programs, that then allowed every student right from the very start to make a deliberate and purposeful choice about why it was that they were at your institution, why it was that they had come to you, what they were looking to do with the degree that they were seeking to pursue. So, yeah, we introduced as a system then this idea that no student across our system would when they began their studies be undecided. Instead, everyone would be in some specific major, or one of a small number of academic focus areas across each institution. Now, what's great is that we then asked students, well, you know what, is in making that kind of choice, are you just checking a box? Are you just saying, well, okay, you're making me pick something, so I guess I'll check one of those boxes? Or is it really the case that by engaging with students, we really helped them to recognize that purpose? And this is brand new data from our 2020 survey of incoming freshmen. We asked them, what was the reason why you chose your degree program or your academic focus area? And you can see there's all kinds of different reasons they gave, that largely it was because they had an interest in the area that they chose, or maybe their parents thought it was a good idea, or they thought they would be good at it, or maybe they also sort of had their eye towards the future to what that career might be and whether it would be a well-paying job. Lots of different data around that. The thing I really want you to focus on is the little stem of that apple, that little less than 1%. Less than 1% of the students, when we asked them why it was that they chose the academic focus area or program that they did, less than 1% said, yeah, you made me pick something. I had to pick something. You made me check a box, and so I did. Less than 1% of students actually said that they did that. All the other, more than 99%, all had a specific focus, a specific reason, a specific purpose behind what it was that they were studying. And the work that you are doing helped them to be able to not only identify that, but to build on it and to move forward. Yeah, this idea of recognizing that we have to help students to think about themselves as learners, how they interact with the learning environment around them. This idea of purpose was just the sort of beginning of us looking much more fully around these ideas of academic mindset. We realize that purpose is absolutely key, but it is the first of a whole set of keys, recognizing that it's just as important that students really feel connected to their institution, feel that they belong, feel that they are part of the community around them. And we certainly know, just over this last year of COVID, how challenging sometimes that is to help students, especially students who might easily get isolated, how important that isolation is to overcome, to help students understand the way in which they belong as part of our community. Believing they're capable of learning the material, right? So growth and fixed mindset, as we call it more formally, recognizing that there are students who come to their studies just simply believing that no matter what it is that they can do, there is nothing that they can do to overcome the fact that they just can't do this. That somehow they feel that they are almost genetically predisposed to not be able to learn that material, and helping them to understand that no, the brain is a muscle. Brain is a muscle, and you can work it out just like every other muscle in your body. And if instead you work and try hard and work it, then instead you will always be able to improve and get better and begin to master that fundamental material. Confidence interacting with faculty and staff, and grit and perseverance, hanging in there when the going gets tough. But more than that, recognizing that to learn the things that are necessary in college requires a struggle. It requires you grappling with ideas that are challenging, and that ability to kind of hang on in there and to work with that grappling. That's a crucial part of being successful in college. So these ideas of academic mindset and how it is, what the strategies are that we are able to implement across all of our campuses to help students think differently about themselves, and so consequently flourish to a much greater degree in college than they otherwise would. Pathways. Yeah, so pathways, And the fact that they need to be clear across college campuses has really been work that's happened across the last decade, and really recognizing how crucial it is that every student right from the very start knows exactly, well, what are the courses that I need to take to be able to get from where I am now to where it is that I need to go. What do those look like? When will I take them? What do I need to do to prepare for what it is that's to come is absolutely crucial. But more than that, and the Chancellor alluded to this in his remarks too, what we recognize is how crucial it is that as you move along that pathway, that you keep a good, steady momentum, as full a schedule as you are able. And here, what I'm showing you is really the difference in graduation rates just based on that intensity of study. You can see throughout the data that no matter what the preparation level, no matter what the demographic, no matter what the student, who the student is, they are always advantaged by being able to take a fuller schedule than perhaps they had anticipated. If they were taking a part-time student, if they were taking up to 6 hours, maybe taking that one more, you can see almost doubles their graduation rate. If they are a part-time student taking less than 12 hours, moving to full-time, you can see almost doubles their graduation rate. And again, taking just full-time, moving to at least 15 hours, again, increases substantially that student's graduation rate. We see that not only in the state universities, as I'm showing the data here, but across all 4 of our sectors. All students are advantaged by taking a fuller schedule. And so then the question in many ways to us is, well, what can we do? What are material things that we are able to put in place to enable students who otherwise might take a more part-time schedule to be able to make that transition to making a fuller schedule? The Chancellor also alluded to this in his remarks about the fact that we know fundamentally as we construct those pathways that there are design principles at work, that it is absolutely crucial that right from the very start, students really do feel that they're studying what they thought they chose, and how important it is that in that first year that they take at least 3 courses that have some connection with why it is that they thought now that they had come to college. And as well as that, how crucial it is that they are successful in math and in English. Freshman writing and the right math, not just any math, not just college algebra because there's college in the name, but the right math, the math that is pertinent to their discipline. I really want to thank the math community across our system and all of our sister disciplines for all of the work that we've done about implementing math pathways, and now, as many of you are right now, putting in the final piece of that, adding statistics to our pathways choices, because it is utterly crucial, not to just take any math class, but the math class that is pertinent to that student's discipline. So that was the momentum year to put all of those pieces together, making a purposeful program choice, creating a productive academic mindset, attempting the first 30 hours of a clear pathway as full a schedule as we're able, attempting 9 hours in the academic focus area, and then completing that initial English and math class. And what we asked you to do, just like the brownie sitting behind it, was to not treat this list as a menu, that you were going to somehow choose from these which of these strategies would be the strategies that we would like to implement on our campus. Instead, to treat this as a recipe, to put all of these pieces together as an overall interconnected structure that creates that change, that new kind of first year experience on your campus that we called the momentum year. And that was the work that we did back in 2018. We brought together at the first Momentum Summit leadership teams from every campus, and then I challenged all of those leadership teams to create a deliberate implementation plan on each campus, 18 months long, so that in fall 2019, we would be able to implement fully the momentum year on all 26 of our campuses. And we did. This is exactly the work that we did. And in the Chancellor's remarks, he shared at least some of the success metrics, some of the badges of success of doing that work. There are many others, and that today is not the day to share them. but throughout the rest of our 2 weeks of this Momentum Summit, many of the talks that you will hear will be colleagues across campuses sharing the successes that they have seen on their campus by implementing this holistic strategy of success. Now, what we recognized, and of course you might recognize it too, that the first year is only the first year, and our 1 year graduation rate across the system doesn't really even exist, because what students could possibly graduate in a single year? And so what grew out of that first year was then an organizing framework of how it is that we might build on the momentum year to now move to what we now call the momentum approach. The momentum approach, taking that organizing framework and then moving it out across the full spectrum of a student experience, all 4 years, but all of the different aspects of the student experience on campus. That instead of just thinking about making a deliberate program choice, right, purposefully choosing what is your major, what is your academic focus area, what we recognize is that that is simply one of a whole sequence of different deliberate and important choices that students have to make. And even that program choice itself, it is now the case across many of our campuses that program choice is being amplified, being built out by deliberate engagement with career services right from the very start. Not thinking about that every student somehow has to pick exactly what their job is going to be from the rest of their life on day one of their freshman year. Of course, that's not the case, and for many different degree programs, the number of different kinds of things that one might do when you graduate is just too many to put your arms around. But equally well, and we see it so often, that in the past, many students didn't even begin to think what it is that they might do when they walked out into the world of work with their degree until they walked across the stage and shook the president's hand and go, well, look, I graduated now what do I do? So instead, deliberately creating experiences where in an appropriate way, students can begin to explore what are the different kinds of things that I might be able to do with the degree that I am working so diligently to try to earn. What are the different pathways that leads? And sometimes perhaps that means that they will make deliberate and important choices along the way of their degree to tailor that experience exactly to where it is that they're going. In fact, what we've seen is that idea itself was part of the birth of the Nexus degree, the new kind of degree that we have here in the Georgia system, deliberately around recognizing that we can build that idea of purpose right into the structure of the degree itself. But as I say, that's only one piece of what it might be for purposeful choices. Of course, those choices continue to unfold as a student walks across the remainder of their degree, but also outside of the academic realms, there are plenty of purposeful choices to be made. And one very important aspect of that choice, which I'll focus on, is the work we're now doing around no more, borrow less. Because what we know is how crucial it is that students make deliberate and purposeful choices about the financial aspects of what it means to be a student at our campuses. We've done, again, the data analysis to see and understand how it is that students are going about making those crucial financial aid kinds of choices. And what we recognize is that in just the same way as we saw earlier in how it is that students made choices about degree program, often it has been the case that when students made choices about financial aid, they did so in a way where they simply didn't have all of the information that they needed to make a deliberate, purposeful, and informed choice for themselves. And so all of the work that we've been doing together around no more, borrow less, providing that new kind of debt letter that says exactly what it is that they're borrowing and what the sources of that are, showing them exactly what it is that are the possibilities for their financial support, and doing that in a way that provides deliberate and individualized kinds of information at the click of a button. That's what No More, Borrow Less has been all about. And now some Of course, it's now the case that all of that has been supplemented by chatbots and all kinds of other kinds of technology. And again, I really want to thank just the full community of financial aid and information services and being able to do that work. We really have just really opened the book on that. But again, it shows the ways in which the momentum approach can provide that organizing framework to be able to think about and talk about what those ideas are. Cultivating productive academic mindsets. Yes, so we began this work really thinking about students, thinking about what students' academic mindsets were. And as I've said and shared a little earlier, we now see that past purpose, it is growth and fixed mindset, actually, that has the greatest possibility for us to be able to move the needle on students being successful in college. And so there's a tremendous amount of work unfolding right now in ways in which we can take ideas and initiatives into the classroom to help students think in ways that provide a more of a growth mindset perspective for them. But what we've also seen, and again, based on research that we have done in collaboration with others across the nation, is how crucial faculty academic mindset is. That as we walk into the classroom, it is just as important as students having a growth mindset about themselves, that faculty portray a growth mindset about their students. And so ways in which we can begin to change our approaches to the classroom experience itself, we now see how extraordinarily important that is. So far, the work we've done around academic mindset has really been about that, about the classroom experience. But of course, you can well imagine that there are plenty of other aspects to academic mindset that are both inside and also outside the classroom. And so that work still remains to be done, but is still, we believe, very important. Yeah, maintaining full momentum along a clear pathway. We began with, studying as close as we could to 30 hours within the first year. What we now see is that is simply, of course, the beginning of a whole journey across the rest of the degree. I guess we always knew that students would have to take all the 120 hours and how important it might be to maintain that full momentum all the way along. But what we also now see is that idea of clear pathway is much larger than simply a list of classes. That now, and many campuses have begun to do this, to take these degree pathways and build in internships, build in high impact practices, build in aspects of that education that are both inside and outside the classroom. And as we've alluded, there are plenty of opportunities now. And again, there has been some really great work in residence life, in really understanding, well, what does a residence life pathway look like? What does it mean to engage students deeply in their education, both inside and outside the classroom, all the way across their student experience? Heightening academic engagement. I've already sort of touched on this a little, but again, all kinds of ways, not only taking 3 courses in your first year that just somehow have a connection with what it is that you thought you came to study, but more than that, recognizing, well, what are those other kinds of just life-changing kinds of educational experiences that can make all of the difference to student success. And again, there's a lot of work, and I know many of you are involved in the High Impact Practice project to implement and take to scale, to a much greater scale than we ever have before, teaching around all kinds of different high impact practices. So service learning, study abroad, undergraduate research, just all kinds of inside and outside the classroom high impact practices. For the very first time across our system, we really are in a much more intentional way understanding exactly which students are being involved in those kinds of pedagogies, and will for the first time really be able to measure what difference that makes to their ability to be a successful student. And already the early data around that shows, exactly as so many of the other strategies that we have already implemented at scale, that they really advantage all students, that students who are involved in those pedagogies, that they really do fundamentally increase the likelihood that they will be a successful student. But more than that, we also see that by introducing these new kinds of just life-changing pedagogies, we actually fundamentally change the likelihood of students who in the past have not perhaps been as well served in higher education. But these are many of the root causes of the kinds of disparity of outcome that we've seen in the past, not only in our system, but across the country. And so these are strategies that close and eliminate exactly that kind of disparity. And then lastly, we talked about math and English being crucial milestones in the first year, but of course they are only two of often many other kinds of critical and crucial milestones. And understanding what those are, understanding in each particular discipline and program what those are, and then being able to create different kinds of mechanisms to recognize when students are in danger of not being able to successfully complete that milestone in a way that not only is completed, but in a timely way. We recognize again that these critical milestones, they are not just simply measures of progress as far as measures along a degree, but they also often come with a sell-by date, that they have to be completed after a particular amount of time or within some crucial amount of time within the student's life. And so this is the idea of this organizing framework of what we now call the momentum approach. And so for so many of you who are here tuning in this morning and will be part of the Momentum Summit across the next couple of weeks, you are not perhaps from the academic side of the house. You aren't faculty, you're not part of a dean's office or a provost's office, maybe not even part of advising, but instead you recognize now student life, residence life, student affairs, financial aid, all kinds of different pieces of the student experience. I hope it is now the case that by thinking through your interaction with the student experience, how important it is, and this organizing framework then gives you a way to be able to see how your work meshes with the work of so many others across the student experience to again be able to continue the work that we're doing to improve student success and completion. So this is the work of the momentum approach, and really the work that we rolled out a year ago when we met for Momentum Summit 3 in Athens, where we really doubled down on now thinking about this idea of the momentum approach and really thinking how it is that we could take that work deeper and make it more permanent. What are ways in which we might even begin to think, well, you know what, if we now think through the lens of a momentum approach, what does our policy structure look like? Are there policies which were well-meaning when they were put in place, but now we see they simply don't fit with the ideas that we now see of the momentum approach? What does faculty and staff onboarding and training look like? When new faculty, new staff come to your campus, what are the ways in which they come in contact with these fundamental ideas around the momentum approach? What about the way in which careers unfold? And we think about retention and tenure and promotion policies and the ways in which staff are assessed, the ways in which we think about people being promoted and moving through their careers on their campus. To what degree are these ideas of the momentum approach fundamental to that, and to what degree right now are they completely disconnected? These are fundamental ways in which we might think about taking the momentum approach and not making it something, as I say, we have steered well away all through this work of thinking of the momentum approach as an initiative, because in that sense it is not an initiative, it is just simply a different and new way of thinking about what it is that we do, what it is that we do fundamentally. Now, of course, that was a year ago, and in the meantime, we have all together been through this year of the COVID pandemic. And in many ways, what I wanted you to do throughout this next 2 weeks of the Momentum Summit is to begin to use the COVID lens as a way to be able to see differently the experience of students on your campus. Because I believe that, of course, there is much about, in fact, almost everything about our experience with this COVID pandemic, which is extraordinarily unfortunate and unforgiving. There has been so many lives lost and so much pain and hurt. But it is the case that it is these kinds of tragedies, it is these kinds of events that create the dialectic that allow us to look differently at the work that we have done. And so I would like for us at least to try to do what we can to see, to allow this time, to allow us to see things that we otherwise would not have been able to see, to ask those fundamental questions about, well, what do we now see are in fact the fundamental undergirdings, the fundamental structure about what life on our campuses look like, and what were the things that were crucial we now see to the student experience, which we have either not been able to provide over this last year or have had to provide in a very different way than we ever would have imagined before. I think this is a really important and crucial question for us to ask, because by doing that, we then allow ourselves to learn the lessons that we've been able to learn over this last year, and then at least take those into the future in ways that we otherwise might not. You know, if there is one lesson that I will take away from this, is that all of the work that we have done around the momentum approach and the momentum year has always been about student engagement. It has always been about really engaging with the student experience in a profound way and understanding exactly how it is that institutions engage with students. If you think about what all of the steps of the momentum year and approach are, they are all from the student perspective, not from our perspective serving them, but from their perspective being served by us. And that in and of itself was an important focus change. So we've always known that engagement was at the very heart of what it means to be a successful student. But of course, we now know and have really been able to experience what it means to have the primary ways in which we have delivered engagement just taken out of our hands. And so many of you over the last year have had to gone to enormous lengths and find all kinds of ingenious ways to be able to provide something approaching the same kinds of a level of student engagement that we have ever had in the past. And for that, I really thank you and honor that work. Again, what I want us to do over these next 2 weeks is part of what we need to do is to think them through. What are the lessons that we have learned as we have battled and striven to try to keep that same level of engagement? And then what, as we recognize what those lessons are, might we then take into the coming years and think differently about how it is we might be able to deliver that experience in the future. Same kind of idea around the way in which we went about the momentum approach altogether. And I've already alluded to this, that we used this emblem of a brownie, that the idea of saying, you know what, this is not a menu that we're going to pick and choose different strategies. Instead, this is a recipe. And we are looking for a solution on every campus that is a holistic solution that ties all of these strategies together, because so many of them are so deeply interwoven with one another. So the challenge was on every campus to come up with a deliberate and holistic strategy to put all of the momentum pieces in place, and to do that in a way that made sense within that campus context, that campus community, the students that they serve, the faculty and staff that work at that institution. But I have a question to ask, that as you now reflect on that work that you did, do you feel that the work that you have on your campus is described by a brownie, or more described by a bowl of fruit? Let me try to explain that analogy. Right, the idea around the brownie was really to try to take all of those different strategies and to do them together, to do them in a way that sort of created an intrinsic and interconnected whole. The bowl of fruit, yeah. On every campus is doing all of the 5 different aspects of the momentum year. But on your campus, is it more that they are all separate pieces, separate initiatives, all piled together, that you are all doing them simultaneously, but not interwoven with one another? Is that maybe more of a description of of what it is that you have on your campus. Maybe it's not a bowl of fruit, maybe it's a mixed fruit pie. Maybe it's still the case that some of the things are interwoven with one another, maybe others are not. I'm not sure where you are across this sort of strange kind of Likert scale that I'm creating from the bowl of fruit all the way across to the brownie, but hopefully, at least in a little bit of a playful way, I'd like to poke and prod you to really think through what are ways in which we can take all of the different threads, all of the different strategies, all of the different initiatives, all of the different pieces, and they are many on every campus that have grown out of this work of the Momentum Year, and what are ways in which we can make them still more interwoven, still more interconnected, still more part of an overall overarching strategy. There is this this sort of meme of you might just be a ... if, and so I was thinking through, well, what might it look like? What would be the symptoms of a bowl of fruit? And some of the questions that we've asked in the planning document sort of get at those things. You might just have something more like a bowl of fruit if you know about the initiatives that are happening in your own unit, but you don't really know about what the different kinds of momentum things that are happening in other people's units across campus. So you know what you're doing, but you don't really know what the other pieces are. You might just be more like a bowl of fruit if there really isn't some sort of a forum across. There's no way on campus for people in different units, different programs, different initiatives to begin to talk with one another about what it is that they're doing, and then to explore what the ways are in which we can begin to bring those pieces together. Maybe all kinds of ways in which that bowl of fruit analogy fits better what it is that's happening across your campus. And please hear me in the sense that, from my perspective, the fact that we are doing this work at all isn't in and of itself an enormous undertaking. And so certainly this is just simply part of the evolution of these ideas on each particular campus, and everyone is at a slightly different place. But I do want you to think introspectively over these next couple of weeks as you begin to do the work in your team times and in your team planning, as you begin to make those plans for what you'll do across the coming year, to begin to think, what are ways in which we can take these strategies and begin to intertwine them and to begin to interweave them. So this is the momentum approach, and I really, again, thank you so much for all of the work that has already been undertaken, but also all of the work that you will undertake over these next coming weeks, because as always, the way in which we've done this work and set up the summit, it is much less an event for you just simply to sit passively and watch, and much more an event where we, yes, can celebrate work that has happened across our campus, find ways in which we can share the advances, share the insights, share the successes that we have across our campuses. But equally well, this is an opportunity on each campus to have frank conversations with one another, to think introspectively about your particular campus, the successes that you had, the shortfalls of the work that you had so far, and then make deliberate plans for what is next. What are the ways in which you will move forward, and then to set up a deliberate plan to be able to implement those ideas, and implement those ideas across your campus for all of your students, not only for some. And so that's the work that is yet to do. There are lots of different sessions across these weeks. We know that there are at least we're having 2 or 3 events each of the weekdays over these next weeks. One in the morning, one in the afternoon, and then often a sort of lunch and learn event during the middle of the day. Each campus has planning times that are set aside, and we again have provided a facilitation and will provide expert or I guess advice sources as you get into those sessions. So if you have thoughts or questions or you're grappling something, please feel free to reach out to us, and we will do the best that we can to be able to team you up with someone else across the campus who maybe has already done successful work in that sphere. I'm sure you will be very happy to know that at the end of this event, it is not the case that we're going to get back on a Teams event like this and then let every campus kind of have a report out for 10 or 15 minutes. That clearly would take hours and hours and hours and perhaps not be such an engaging thing. But instead, we found a much more, we believe, a much more engaging way to be able to allow campuses to talk about and celebrate the work that they are doing and plan to do. And so you'll have more information about that as the weeks unfold, but be prepared that at the end of next week that you will be required, there'll be some homework for you to do to be able to, first of all, enable other campuses to know the work that you are planning, but also know the work that you are celebrating. So with that, I thank you so much for your attention this morning. I thank you very much for being willing to be part of this journey. Again, I also really want to thank Jonathan Hull and his team for all of the really hard work that's happened in putting together this event, and all of the presenters who have been willing to give of their time to allow us to benefit from their knowledge and from their success. So with that, I thank you very much, and I will hand back to Jonathan.
Thank you, Dr. Denley. I really appreciate that. I am, whoops, I'm having trouble with the video now. Here we go. So with that, again, we are at a point where the summit is at the play at home stage. Why is my video not playing? Pardon me 1 second, folks. There we go. So for those of you who are playing along at home, if you have difficulty getting to any of the sessions, this is your link to know. Again, Dr. Denley did a great job of sort of providing an overview of the summit as a whole. The summit is 2 weeks long, and we have provided a tremendous amount of sort of opportunity for folks. We don't expect everybody to show up for every session, but we do encourage you to show up for those sessions that really interest you. If you are along the way, if you have challenges or concerns, you can always reach out to me, and we will be delighted to have you, to work with you on those things. Also, and I will say this because I have a very large audience, if there are things about this that you think we should improve on, if there's ways in which we can do our jobs better, please shoot those to me. This is somewhat uncharted terrain for us, and I'm really interested in making sure that we do this as best we can. The sessions, again, there are 3 sessions, 2 or 3 sessions during the days. They're scheduled throughout so that they don't overlap, which is an advantage for y'all, so that you can go to whatever sessions you may want to go to without having to choose. If you have to miss a session, or if the sessions are capped and you're unable to get in, understand we are recording every session, and we will be placing those recordings available onto the same page, the MSIV-program page, as they come available. We'll do the same with any resources we have. Again, I really want to express my appreciation to all of you for spending your morning with us and to starting this 2-week-long celebration of the work we've done and the reflection on the work that you have on your campus. I want you to again thank the folks who have committed to joining us, and thank you all again for the work you've done on your campus. I look forward to seeing you throughout the next 2 weeks. And again, if there's anything that you need from us, or if there's any way in which I can be of help to y'all, please don't hesitate to reach out. I look forward to talking to you and hearing from you and hearing your thoughts about momentum. Thanks so much, y'all. Have a great rest of your day.